All right, let's talk about something truly mind-bending. We're going to dive into the story of what could be the world's very first computer. And here's the catch. It's an object so advanced, it feels like it just shouldn't exist. I mean, seriously, if I told you that, you'd probably think I was talking about some sci-fi movie, right? But this is a real thing, a real artifact that just completely flips the script on what we thought ancient civilizations were capable of. So, yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so to really understand this, we have to go back in time. We're talking over a century ago. And our story doesn't start in some fancy high-tech lab or a dusty university archive. Nope. It begins deep down at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. So picture this. It's 1901. A crew of sponge divers are working off the coast of this little Greek island, Antikythera. They accidentally find an ancient Roman shipwreck. I mean, this is the discovery of a lifetime. They start pulling up these amazing treasures, gorgeous marble statues, intricate jewelry, gold coins, you name it. And then, amidst all that glitz and glamour, they pull up this weird, ugly lump of bronze, totally unassuming. And that's really all it looked like, just a green, corroded chunk of metal, all fused together after spending centuries underwater. Honestly, it looked worthless. So for years, it was just ignored. I mean, who cares about a lump of junk when you have priceless statues, right? Nobody, and I mean nobody, had any clue what was hiding inside. So you're probably wondering, how does this boring lump of corroded metal become one of the most important archaeological finds, like ever? Well, this is where the story gets really good. It took a while, but eventually scientists started cleaning the thing up. And as they did, a piece of it broke off. And what they saw inside was just astonishing. This wasn't just some random lump of bronze at all. It was a machine. And I'm not talking about some simple machine. Inside were more than 30 distinct, interlocking bronze gears. We're talking precision-cut pieces all fitting together like the guts of a super sophisticated Swiss watch. The craftsmanship was just breathtaking and totally, completely out of place for what they thought the ancient world could do. So the big question became, what is this thing? Well, after decades of study using everything up to and including high-tech X-rays, the researchers finally figured it out. It was an analog computer. You heard that right, a computer from the ancient world. It used all those mechanical gears to solve really complex problems, specifically to calculate astronomical cycles. It was basically a model of the entire cosmos packed into a little bronze box. And what this ancient computer could do is just staggering. It wasn't just telling time, no way. This thing could predict solar and lunar eclipses with incredible accuracy years in advance. It tracked the movements of the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets you can see with the naked eye. It was so advanced, it even accounted for the moon's weird elliptical orbit, something that's actually pretty complicated to model. Oh, and for good measure, it had another dial to track the 4-year cycle of the Olympic Games. So yeah, this was way, way more than just a simple calendar. Okay, so finding a device this complex is already mind-blowing. But the real kicker, the thing that completely shatters our whole understanding of history, is when this thing was made. Because the answer to that question, well, it takes this from being just a really cool discovery to a truly profound, almost unbelievable historical mystery. All right, you ready for this? The shipwreck itself dates back to the 1st century BC. And the analysis of the machine, it puts its creation somewhere between 150 and 100 BC. That is over 2,000 years ago. Just let that sink in for a second. You know, there's a quote that I think just perfectly nails how insane this is. It's like finding a smartphone in the Middle Ages. That's the level of impossible we're talking about here. It's a piece of the future lost in the past. And here's the craziest part. After this thing was created, poof, the technology vanished. Nothing even remotely this complex shows up in the historical record for another, wait for it, 1,500 years. Not until the huge, intricate astronomical clocks started appearing in Europe in the 1300s. It's like a whole chapter of human invention was written, and then someone ripped it out of the book, and we didn't find it again for 15 centuries. And if you want to get really specific, there's one piece of tech inside that just blows historians' minds. It's something called differential gearing. Now, you don't need to be an engineer to get this. It's just a really clever way to arrange gears to do complex math, like adding and subtracting speeds. The thing is, everyone thought this was invented in the 16th century, but nope, There it was, sitting inside a 2,000-year-old Greek machine. So this completely impossible timeline leaves us with some really big, really profound questions, right? How on earth do you explain this? How could something so far ahead of its time exist and then just disappear off the face of the earth? Honestly, these are the two questions that keep everyone who studies this thing up at night. First, who built it? Who was the absolute genius that designed and created this masterpiece? And maybe even more importantly, why did their knowledge completely disappear? Why didn't this kickstart a whole technological revolution back then? Well, when it comes to answers, people basically fall into two camps. The first is the mainstream scientific view. It says, okay, this was probably the work of one brilliant Greek inventor, maybe someone connected to the legendary Archimedes. And in this theory, it was a totally unique, one-of-a-kind masterpiece that got lost at sea, and the knowledge just died out with its creator, or in the chaos of the Roman Empire. Then you have the other theory, which is a bit more out there. This camp calls it an out-of-place artifact, or UPART, and they suggest it might be evidence of a lost super-advanced civilization, or maybe even knowledge from somewhere else. But here's the thing. It almost doesn't matter which theory you believe, because the fundamental, undeniable fact at the heart of this mystery is the same either way. This incredible, world-changing technology was created, and then it was completely forgotten. An astonishing level of scientific and engineering knowledge existed 2,000 years ago, and then it just vanished from human history for a millennium and a half. You know, the Antikythera Mechanism really forces us to ask what we actually know about the ancient world. It's humbling. It's a powerful reminder that our history is way more complex and a lot more mysterious than we usually give it credit for. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If this impossible object was only found by a total accident, what other secrets are still out there? What else is just waiting under the sand or at the bottom of the sea to be discovered and to completely rewrite our story all over again?